On this week's episode of Sparesbox Unrolled, we upset the internet, we take a look at a street-driven race car, and our CEO gets his hands on his very own velvet hammer.
So Sambo, apparently a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of Nissanophiles are upset because we used a VG30 in our 300ZX, which
we pissed some people off.
Which is a bit weird because the 300ZX comes with a VG30.
It does. It's the standard motor. So many people
It's just
are
a quad cam version of the standard thing. I don't know what the problem is.
We had people yelling at us to put different motors in the car. We had LSs suggested.
Yeah.
We had RBs suggested. Barras even.
I don't know if a Barra, maybe.
No.
It's too heavy.
I couldn't stomach it either.
Too big.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of merit to people's comments. The LS one, I think, LSs make a lot of sense as a reason they're popular.
Yeah.
But they've been done before.
Yeah.
And VG30s are really bloody cheap. Z32 quad cam VG.
Yeah.
Mostly because everybody seems to be really, really scared of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the most common one I think I've heard is how hard they are to work on. And specifically, do you know how hard the injectors are to get to? Not very hard, all right? If that's the hardest thing about a car to you, look, don't go racing, all right?
Yeah.
It's only downhill.
I was going to say, and you touched on it before, that entire motor and all its ancillaries cost less than what another silly Sparesbox employee just paid for an RB20 motor.
And that's a 2 litre
It's a dog
turd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's what the Titanic was using as anchors at the time of its crash, to be quite honest. It's unconfirmed, but it wouldn't surprise me. Now, before we have a look at the dyno runs that our motor did, I want you guys to go in the comments below and hazard a guess at what sort of power it ran. It's an unopened VG, bit of a fuel system, bit of a turbo, and not that much boost.
E85.
E85. Because I reckon the results are going to surprise you.
Yeah.
I think they're
really surprised us.
Yeah, it did. It's a dog barking.
Roll it.
It's a dog barking. Anyway, yeah, let's take a look.
All right, the time has come for our 300ZX here to finally get wheel aligned. After all the work we've put into it, I'm really glad that we're at this stage. It's almost track ready. So we're going to take it down to Heisman suspension. Anyone interested in motorsport will know of Heismans. They're no stranger to them. Heismans are fantastic for any project like this where it's kind of really separated from the norm, as the knowledge required to align a car for a specific purpose like this is wildly different to the knowledge that the guy who's doing a tow and go on your street car down at the local tyre shop has. For a recap on what we've done to this car, it's got most notably an R32 rear subframe in the back of it. The Z31 normally has semi-trailing arm suspension. This is radically different, along with S13 MCA coilovers front and rear. So I'm keen to see how it drives after this and get out on track. This is one of the last steps. Join us for that. Heisman Steering has over half a century's experience in the development and alignment of suspension products for performance vehicles, four-wheel drives, trucks, and everything in between. That 50 years experience is the difference between an alignment that makes a car acceptable and an alignment that makes a car fast, good on tyres, good under brakes, easy to drive, and a winner.
Yeah, it was so far out.
We're down here at Springwood Car Care. As you can see behind us, the car is on the dyno here. This is Gerald, this is his business. He's going to be tuning our Z31 for us. Gerald, thanks for having us, mate. It's great to be here. Now, obviously, we're here to film a power run. You've had the car for a little bit and you've worked your magic with it. We're using a Haltech Elite 2000 on this car. Was there any distinct challenges or issues you ran into with the car?
No, not really. We had a couple of little issues. We had to get the spark plugs down. We were blowing the spark out a little bit once we turned the boost up. Other than that, just small things along the way, a little bit of corrosion on a couple of plugs from the original engine, being a high K engine, just a Japanese import thing. And just put some gate springs in it and a couple of things like that, and away we went.
Yeah, so all in all, it wasn't too much of a headache for you?
No, nothing more than usual.
Fantastic. So we already know what the car's making, as do you. We're really, really happy with it. You guys will have to stay tuned and see. We had a competition on Instagram recently to see who could guess the closest number. So cross your fingers and toes that it's you. There's a voucher in it for you. Now, obviously something that's a little bit interesting about your setup here, Gerald, is you've got a hub dyno.
Yep.
Obviously everyone's seen roller dynos. They seem to be more common. What are the benefits to using a hub dyno over your conventional?
Well, this is our third dyno now. We've had a couple of rollers, and we bought this one about 4 years ago now, maybe 5. I like the fact that there's no tying down of the vehicle. We just bolt it on, and it's dead accurate. There's no tyre slip, there's no wheel spin, there's not problems where you think where the power drop off and it's a tyre or anything like that. Going 20 years of tuning, cars used to have 300 horsepower. The tyres was a good thing, but things are all making in the vicinity of the 1,000 and that now, so it's pretty hard to tie them down.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only would it be a safer way of doing it, but a more accurate way of doing it as well, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. It's back to back, You can put 1 degree into this car and you can see 1 degree, what 1 degree of timing will actually do to it. With a tyre dyno, sometimes it's hit and miss, and you're not sure whether the tyres are going off or,
Absolutely. So this is the ideal way to do it. And obviously, if you guys have a car and you want to get it tuned or looked at by someone like Gerald, hit them up at Springwood Car Care. But otherwise, why don't we get into it?
Let's have a look. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to get in the car, we're going to give it a run. We're just going to run it on the gate now, whatever springs are in the gate, which I think are about 10 or 11 pound, and then we're going to turn up the boost a little bit and see how it goes. That's straight off the gate. I forgot to turn the gate off on the first one. That's a cold run. It probably won't go that high. It'll probably go 470 now or something, but we'll run it up and we'll go from there. Right? I'm going to just let it, we're going to blow the fan for a little bit and then I'm going to pull it. All right? This is what we have here. So here we have what we run up on gate pressure. So this is our first run, just at our whatever gate springs we had in it, which are about 11 pound. The next run is when we controlled the gate and we ran 15.5 pound, and this is a power increase from that. The one thing we can see with this is probably an older import motor or something like that. The valve springs are probably sitting around a bit. They're probably just starting to go off here. It's about 6,500 RPM. You can see it in both graphs, but as you put a little bit more boost in it, it gets a little bit worse. So I would say the next thing we could do here is put a set of valve springs in this motor.
Well, it's good to see the car's behaving well and is running as it should. I think next thing for us is to get this down to the track, get it shaken down and get a heap of seat time in. We're all blown away by the power it made. I hope you guys are as well, keeping in mind that we have roughly doubled the output for this motor, and this is a $900 wrecker engine, so that's astronomical. We'll tackle the valve springs later on, but let's get to the track. G'day guys, as you can see we're down here at Sydney Motorsport Park once again, but this time we've got our Z31 300ZX behind us here for a shakedown. It's a bit wet, it's a bit miserable, but otherwise it's a great night to be out at the track. But mate, we're never going to say no to track time, so Leon's in the car, we're about to take it out for its maiden voyage. Now we're not going to go too hard, we're just going to feel the car out. This is a shakedown after all, but come along with us for the ride. Off you go, mate. All right guys, that's a wrap for us down here at Sydney Motorsport Park for tonight. It's been a long time coming, but it was all a great success. Leon, how'd you go in the car, mate?
Awesome, great to set some times. Thanks to the gang at Driving Solutions. Look forward to them showing us how to add some skill behind the wheel, get it happening, get the lap times down, enjoy this thing to its fullest. Stay tuned.
Mate, that car was an absolute handful in the wet.
So Larry.
First time out, 480 horsepower, green tyres.
Yep.
I'm really glad I wasn't steering.
Yeah, nice and cozy in the pits is where we stayed, and I'm absolutely happy about it. Speaking of handfuls, imagine this. Expensive brand new M4, you take it to us, we turn it into a pretty much track-only monster, and then you give it to professional racing drivers and amateurs alike. That's a proper handful.
Sounds like a blast.
Sounds like a very good blast. This is the Bullrush Motorsport M4 build. We've had a fair bit to do, and we recently took a look at the new mods they've done. Wrap, aero, full slicks. Let's take a look. Well, we're back here at Sydney Motorsport Park with the insane Bullrush M4, and it looks nothing like when you guys last saw it. We gave it back to the Bullrush Motorsport team, and now they've made it look as good as it drives. Let's take a look. The aesthetics of this M4 are absolutely jaw-dropping. I mean, it takes one look and you realise that this thing is a proper race car now. To start off with, the team at Bullrush Motorsport took it to the guys at Maguire's here in Sydney, and they did a full paint correction and detail on the paintwork to get it ready for the wrap, which looks absolutely phenomenal. Then the wrap came, and that was done by the team at Bespoke Signs and Wraps, and haven't they knocked it out of the park? This was designed by Marco, and I've got to say, Marco, well done, because this car looks $1 million. Now, one of the most wild things about this M4 is that it's a fully street-registered, street-driven car at the end of the day, hence why it's on stock wheels and tyres at the moment. But don't be fooled by that. When they get to the track, these come out. This is certainly a wolf in sheep's clothing at times. I'm sitting on one of the tyres that this thing runs on, and it's a full, slick Michelin tyre. The same, in fact, as what Cameron Hill races in his Carrera Cup car. Pretty wild. Well, it's a well-known fact that you can't have a fast race car without an aero package, and that's what the Bullrush Motorsport team did. We're looking at two key elements on this car that have absolutely transformed it, in the words of Cameron Hill himself. To start off with, that insane carbon fibre rear wing is absolutely jaw-dropping, and it's functional too. That helps plant the rear tyres on the ground, putting the power down to the track through those insane Michelin slicks. And to counteract that, they've also done a carbon, fully adjustable front splitter, which is going to help keep the front end stable and predictable in those high-speed corners. It's fast, it looks good, and in the hands of a professional racing driver, this exact setup with these slicks have gone 1 minute 40 here at Sydney Motorsport Park. For a full interior street-driven car, it's absolutely insane. A hand-painted helmet by Frank at R-Star is the icing on the cake when it comes to this M4 package. Now, every time you guys see this M4, it keeps getting better and better, and the future is no different. We've got some wild things planned, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you guys want behind-the-scenes details and to find out more about this build, there's one place to go. That's the Sparesbox and the Bullrush Rally social media pages. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment, do all those good things. Until next time, we'll see you at the track.
The Z was a handful, the M4 was a handful, and I've got another handful for you, Sambo. It's my tip.
We both know it's not a handful. Let's have a look.
Did you buy a stuffed old JDM engine from someone's backyard for way too much money? Does it require a breaker bar to turn over, even with the spark plugs out? You need a bore scope, like we have, so you can see exactly how stuffed your motor is and how much money you wasted. That's another James's tip on Just the Tip. Oh yeah, Sam, do you know where Portugal is? You can find it on the map?
Yeah, it's north of here.
Everything is sort of north of here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not wrong, am I?
Or it's a long way south.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Unless you're a flat earther.
In that case, you just go to the edge, fall off it, and then it's on the second level. Well, I hope for everyone's sake that that bore scope only ever gets used for automotive archaeology and nothing else.
If I'm a mechanic, it sort of is automotive archaeology.
Oh, God, what happens at home, I don't want to know. Anyway, moving on, let's bring this back. Let's talk about Not the News, where we're going to shock you and just, it's actually not that shocking this week. The first thing we're going to talk about is the Portugal F1. Guess who won? You won't ever believe this, James.
Hit me with it.
Lewis Hamilton.
Well, if ever there was something that was not the news, that's not the news.
It's almost like clockwork, that man. He is a wizard behind the wheel. Second place was Verstappen. Third place, you'd be forgiven for... actually, you wouldn't. It was Bottas. It was always going to be Bottas. It was never going to be anyone other than Bottas, and that's just the facts. But it was an exciting race. There was a lot of controversy. Ricciardo did well, climbed up from... I think he was 17th on the grid, up into 9th. So he got points, which was exciting. See an Aussie having a rally. And even Jack Miller won the MotoGP while we're on the subject of Aussie people doing Aussie things, doing the good internationally. Making the Aussies proud.
Can't help but root for him.
Yeah, you got to.
Next up.
You got some exciting Italian hotness going on.
You know I love my Alphas, mate.
Oh my God.
The new GTAM, Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now this car's not brand spanking news. We've known about this car for a couple of months now.
My God.
Monster power, 402 kilowatts, ridiculous.
Yeah, imagine trying to get that out of an SR. You just would never.
But this can be purchased by Australians if there are discerning Aussies out there who want something like this.
Now that is the hottest Italian-looking Civic Type R I have ever seen.
Excuse you.
The only thing that worries me is the price tag. 300 grand. It's a lot of money.
Why did you want one?
Would be nice. I don't think I'm ever going to have one at that price tag.
It may as well be $1 million from where you're sitting, mate.
Well, that's true. Make it 5 million. I'm never going to afford it. That thing is gorgeous though.
But I do love that we can buy this in this country. Well, we can't, but someone can.
Someone with a bit of money can. Speaking of unobtainium, things that we're never going to afford and never want to buy, let's look at the JDM market. My God, Silvias. Need I say more?
How much?
Yeah.
$30,000.
Earlier today.
Oh, at least he's done a really lovely job of modifying that.
Sorry. No. Earlier today, I made the mistake of looking through car sales, and within 30 seconds of looking up Silvias, I came across this. You wouldn't believe it. That is currently the cheapest Nissan Silvia for sale in Australia, period.
Is this Rona rates, or is this just what people are paying for them?
Mate, I've got no idea if they're selling or going or being crushed at that price, but 30 grand is a lot of money for that car with almost 200,000 Ks on it. Outrageous. The best part
Nothing with an SR20 should be 30,000.
the bloke on the other side of that camera, he's got a weird obsession with them. He loves pissing money down the drain on these silly little things. It's just fantastic. And you can only feel sorry for him, poor bloke. It's a crippling addiction.
Now that we've covered absolutely no news at all,
Yes.
here's a little more news on a car that you don't care about. That's Leon's AMG.
Ah, yes. The Velvet Hammer, as he calls it.
Yep. Now, Leon promised me he'd be helping me out with this job. We did a couple of things on the car, not least of which was an aftermarket valve body for the auto.
Oh, my God.
It's better you just watch.
G'day, I'm here today with James. The Merc behind us, my faithful Merc, has blown the alternator, so we've decided to give it a bit of a birthday. I've hit the Sparesbox catalogue. I've got some fun stuff to put in it, but I thought first I better keep it running, keep it reliable.
Who's this fun for?
Fun for me, what's the story? Yeah. James is a bit less excited by some of the work, but I'm super pumped.
Yeah, less is the word.
What? So, what have we got, James? What have we got? What are you thinking about this thing?
You've given me a bit of a rubbish job. This thing's got, what, 16 spark plugs?
16 spark plugs,
Apparently.
eight coil packs.
8 coil packs. We're doing the alternator and it's somewhere in the abyss down
Hidden.
there.
It's hidden.
There's more plastic under this car than a Lego factory. Oh, yeah. And the damn thing was impossible to put in the hoist.
Yeah, it took us about half an hour to get it on the hoist because of the bit
The
longer.
car's so long and they've put the mounting points or the jacking points like a good foot in from each wheel. The 205 is easier to put on a hoist than this.
Mercedes, they want to keep it. They want to keep it coming back to their service technicians.
I'd take it back.
All right, so James, what are you thinking? Before we hit the fun stuff, what's plan of attack?
Well, first I'm going to cry in the corner for a little bit. Then I reckon we put it up on the hoist and we start with the alternator. You know, start with the rubbish jobs first, or the most rubbish jobs, because they're all rubbish jobs. Get that done while we're under there. We'll go through all the fluids and then we'll bring it back down. We'll tackle the spark plugs and the coil packs. And then we'll finish off nice and easy with the air filters and cabin filters.
And the fluids. And I'll help with the easy stuff. I'll probably do the cabin filter myself. I think I can help with that.
Sounds fair.
So we've got a couple of cool things coming. Once we've done all the boring stuff and James has like lost the will to live, there's a few more fun things. I've got a wave track LSD we're going to try out, put in, very keen to run that. We've got a completely new shift core with uprated shift and an extension pan on to run more transmission fluid to give it a bit more punch. This brings the car up to like, 2020 performance. It's got 700 Newton meters, 500 horsepower, but it changes like a very, very lazy old 3-speed automatic. So yeah, can we make this car sing a bit? So we've got a range of stuff here we've got from the Sparesbox catalogue. Let's just go through them. Coil packs.
Yeah, mate, you've got NGK here for the plugs and the coil packs. Fantastic. Again, we use NGK in everything here. High quality control. Never had a problem with NGK in my life, so I'm glad you've got that because they're a pain to do a second time.
We're not doing twice. Interesting to note, the car doesn't actually need them. We're taking so much apart, we thought, good time just to do it once, and that way it's done.
Your choice of the word "we" is interesting.
You. So lubes, we got diff oil, transmission fluid, and we've got all the engine fluids.
Penrite for it all.
etc.
Penrite for it all. Fantastic, mate. Aussie made, standard approvals. Can't beat
Exactly.
it.
Engine flush as well. As I mentioned, first time we're servicing this car, it's 15 years old, so we're going to give it a bit of extra love. We've got some of the belts, tensioners, pulleys.
Gates for it all as well. Beauty. Can't beat gates, high quality stuff.
Slight upgrade here on the induction. Slight upgrade.
No, I like these because you can wash them, reuse them a million times over.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense, especially if your car's got a hard to get to air filter. No one wants to be going all the effort every single time to clean the thing out, so brilliant.
V8 supercharged, got 2, so need 2 K&Ns there. for all the consumables.
Man filter.
Man filter. Yep.
For everything. Again,
Again,
awesome.
OE.
OE manufacturer. You can't do any better than an OE manufacturer for a vehicle.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
absolutely. And this one here, we've got the supercharger water pump. Sounds interesting. And that's from our friends at Bosch. So that will upgrade. It's actually an upgrade of the stock filter, pump, sorry. So it'll keep the supercharger running for longer.
I'm glad that's Bosch, because I haven't even seen this in the engine bay yet, so I have no idea where it's supposed to be buried, but I'm sure it's not fun. So you intend on giving me a hand with this stuff, or are you just going to watch?
I'll give you a hand. For what that's worth, probably not that much, but I am going to help.
Yeah, you're going to do all the easy ones.
Cabin filters on me.
How generous of you. All right, well, let's get cracking, mate, because the sooner we finish this, the sooner we can move on to the fun stuff.
Agreed.
I'd like to thank Leon for his undying support and assistance. Very nice. I like. We were. Now that we've finished up with some of the general maintenance on the SL55 here, we're going to move on to some of the bigger jobs, biggest to which is a modified shift core, which I'm going to start with. We've also got lowering links, which lower the car via tricking the car's computer into thinking it's higher than it is. And we've also got a increased capacity aluminium pan for the auto trans as well, which we'll finish up with. So I'm going to get into the bigger jobs now. We're almost there.
So here we are in the Mercedes, work's been done, can't wait to test it out. You know what's perfect for testing out performance parts on your car? Traffic on a Friday afternoon in Sydney. I think I've averaged 25 k's an hour for an hour. So we can't quite determine if we've done anything good, bad, have we made the car better or worse? It's not too bad in traffic, so that's probably a tick. But we're going to have to find some open roads to test it out properly. I've forgotten how much I love this car. Like, it's just so good to drive. It's such a cruiser, but it's like a sledgehammer. It's like a velvet sledgehammer when you need it. So, to answer the real question that I really care about, have we made it better, sportier? Can I access that engine, that crazy engine more? Yeah, you can. It changes down hard, it holds the gears longer, it kicks down fast, it gives you a nice punch in the back when you're going up through the gears with a supercharged V8. You just really want to hear that thing rev, you want to feel the torque, push you back in the seat. That's what this car's about. And now I feel I can access that a lot better. It doesn't have the same kind of manners in traffic, but let's be honest, all of my cars are kind of not that useful most of the time, day to day, but it's way more fun, and that's what I care about. And yeah, if you've got a car like this, why wouldn't you want to have fun with it, with the roof down? Maintenance and performance upgrades are a great way to unlock the potential of your vehicle and keep it running at its best. We may not be able to help you with the James, but for everything else, head over to sparesbox.com.au. We've got all the parts to keep your car running for less.
Well, for a car that's got 16 spark plugs and an eastern suburbs fully grown male rocking around in Birkenstocks, things could be worse. Oh, they could be much better too. Anyway, that's just about all we've got time for in this episode of Unrolled. If you guys have liked what you've seen, tell the people what to do.
Comment below.
That's right.
Let us know what you think.
Yep.
Subscribe and join us next week.
You insulted the man wearing Birkenstocks as you were wearing loafers.
And I was also wearing Birkenstocks in here like 3 days ago.